Um, hi, I'm Ryan. I'm going to just give you a little introduction to Node and what its goals are and what it does. Just really briefly, Node's a set of bindings for Google's V8 JavaScript virtual machine, and it allows one to script programs that do I/O in JavaScript, which is something that JavaScript previously hadn't really done so much of. JavaScript was restricted to the browser and didn't really have any notion of doing I/O other than manipulating the DOM. Well, it does I/O in a very particular way, and that's the only reason it's exciting. And I'm very focused on making it fast. So first, just a ridiculous benchmark. So let's take a web server and put 100 clients on it and have them hit the web server as hard as it can and give you a 1 megabyte response each time. Of these 4 web servers, Node actually performs the best, which, if you're familiar with Nginx, it's written in C. It's completely written in C. It's this totally optimized event-looped C web server. And Node can actually push out data faster than that. So here's the code for that benchmark. I'm not actually writing a string to the server. Well, let me explain this first. So on line 1 and 2, we require modules. This is using the CommonJS module system. So there's an HTTP module, and there's a buffer module. And this buffer is something to allocate raw memory, something that JavaScript isn't particularly good at it. And then in lines 4 through 6, we fill the buffer. We allocate a buffer with a megabyte of memory, and we fill it with a bunch of bytes. And then in lines 8 through 11, we create a web server, and we give it a callback which is issued each time a request comes into the web server. And what the callback does is it writes out 200 OK HTTP head, and then writes out the buffer to it. And then the last line makes it listen on port 8000 of localhost. OK, so some stupid code, but it's really fast, like really, really fast, right? I want you to take this with some grain of salt. The Nginx process was using 4 megabytes of memory, and Node was using 60 megabytes of memory. And these are pretty, this is a pretty specialized program where you're writing out just one chunk of memory all the time. Nginx was serving a 1 megabyte file. So it was probably doing some file system polling. There was probably a lot more going on there. But nevertheless, it's nice to see that your web server could possibly be serving static files from memory at a speed that is equivalent to an optimized C web server. OK, so it's kind of fast. Let me just do a little bit of philosophy around this. We're doing I/O completely wrong. Like, we really got screwed up at some stage. And we could be doing it differently, and things could be much easier than they are. And this program is my attempt